Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of Inventor Basics. In this episode, we're going to look at multibody in the part environment. Multibody just means that we're having more than one solid in the part, which before we've just created one solid. So now we're going to look at creating more than one solid, which then we can take through to the assembly. This is useful. I use this a lot in sheet metal because I find it so much easier than assembling in the assembly. But this can be used to reference other solid bodies in the part environment. We'll draw like a basic cabinet to show a few of the other features that we've looked at in the other videos. So if we start off with 1000 by 1500, this will be the carcass of the cabinet. So if we extrude by 1000, then I'll use the shell command, thickness of 20mm. This is the carcass of it. So now we're going to draw the drawers. We're going to have 8 drawers in this cabinet. So if I do 1500, which was the height, minus 40 for the top and the bottom, because we shell 20, so that would be 20 at the top, 20 at the bottom, then divided by 8, so we want 8 drawers, equals 182.5. So I'll draw the first drawer. So if I select a plane, click offset from plane, find the top, and then we'll do 182.5. If we go to the front view, we can see that will now offset a plane from the bottom at 182.5. So there we go. Now start sketch on the plane you've just created. A little tip: F7, if you press F7, as you can see there, if you press F7, it will slice on that plane, so you can see easier, which we need because we want to project these edges. So if I go to project geometry and then project the whole of that, which we can see has gone yellow, then we'll offset, select the projected geometry we've just created, and then offset by 10, and then we can see the offset we've just created. This is going to be the base of our drawer. So extrude, select the profile, as in others before, because we have 2 profiles we have to select it, whereas if you only have 1 profile you don't. Set the profile we want, which is this one. Select the distance, we want it to go down here, so flip it, and then we want it at 182.5, and we can see it's perfect. Now here we have join, cut or intersect, and here we have new solid. So we don't want to join it because we want to create a new solid, not cut or intersect. Is this new solid. So select new solid, click OK. Before we click OK, if you look in the solid bodies, there's 1. If I click OK, there's now 2, and that's the drawer that we've just created. Once you have more than one solid, it's best to name so you don't get confused, you know which one's which. So if I name that carcass, and then if I name that drawer, now we know which is which, instead of going through and highlighting to find which one's which. Now to create the drawer, we're going to use shell again. We'll go to 10mm. Okay, and now we will create a handle to show the difference in multi-body to creating a cut, which will be the handle, to a single part. So select the front, because this is where the slot's going to go. Select slot, draw the slot. Now we have to project the geometry of the front of the drawer so we can then reference. So we want the slot to be in the middle. So if we go to horizontal, we can select the middle point, and then if we go to the side of the drawer, we can find the green dot, which is the center of the height of that drawer. Click there, and then go to horizontal, select that point, and then find the center point along the width of the drawer. Now we just need to dimension the slot. Select here. If you remember, if you go to the center, you'll find the difference, as you can see there. Delete that. Here, and that will let us measure the slot. Put 250 in. Now we just need the height of it, or the radius, which is 65. We're all fully constrained. Finish sketch. Now we want to cut it. So extrude. Again, we have two profiles, so we have to select. Select the profile. Direction is the wrong way. Select the cut in output. Now here, it's already selected the solid we want to cut, but sometimes you'll have to select. So if I delete that, just to show, it's asking to select solid. Now we have two solids, the carcass and the drawer. If we select the carcass, the cut won't be able to cut, because it will be trying to cut through the carcass, which it won't be able to do. So if we select solid and then select the drawer, then you can see it previews, you can see it's going to go through. And the distance we can change to through all, or to, or next. We know that the distance of that shell was 10. Just be careful, if you do go through all, it will go, I'll show you, it will go through the back as well. We don't want that at the moment, so we just want 10 to go through the front. Now click OK, and now that's our handle. Now we are going to look at the pattern, because then we can pattern this drawer to create the rest of the drawers. So if we select pattern, we don't want individual features, which we looked at in one of the other videos. We want solid. So select pattern solid, select the solid, which is the drawer base. Now here we have join or new solid, or create new bodies. We want create new bodies, so every drawer we pattern will be created as an individual body, which you will see in the solid bodies. Direction is the same as we've done before. Select this, as then that will select the up or down. Flip it. Now if we know the spacing to be 182.5, as we can see, and then we wanted 8, click OK. Now we have created 8 individual drawers using the pattern feature from 1. As we can see, solids, each individual solid. Now we could name these drawer 2, drawer 3, drawer 4, etc. So now we'll save it. Now we need to get this into individual solids and into the assembly. We can do this by manage. We'll start with make parts. Now here we have the option to choose which solid bodies, which when you name, this is when it becomes beneficial. As we can see, we want these. So firstly, if we click here, that now adds that to our make part. So if we name this as carcass, select the template, which we want metric standard. Now this is the file it will save into. Do you want to create a new part? This is to create the part in the folder that you want. So if I click yes, I can go into, yeah, it will save it as carcass ITP. And then place in target assembly, I always keep on target assembly a name, carcass, template. Just I always do this to make sure. We want a standard millimeter IAM, which is an assembly file, and then the new file location to save, which we'll put as the same. Yes, we'll keep it there. We'll keep these two file locations the same to keep them in the same place. And then if we click OK, this has now opened that carcass in an assembly as an individual part. We can also open this part, which then will take us to an IPT file, which is the part file, as just the carcass without the drawers in. The only problem is, as you see here in the model browser, it will not bring any of the features through. If you want to go back to alter the size of the carcass, you have to go into the original file that you created the multibody in, which is where we have the extrusion and the shell, which we can see the sketch, so just remember that. The other feature in management is make component. Now this we're going to use to take all of this through to the multibody. To the assembly. All this multibody through to the assembly. So this is easier. You can just drag and select all, which you can see, and you can remove from selection individual ones if you wanted to. Target assembly a name, multibody test. Template again. Make sure standard millimeter. Target assembly location. You can change again by clicking that, but we'll keep that there. Next. Now this just shows you information. Sometimes I'll double check it's the correct place. Here it says standard.ipt, but if I click on it, then click here, this will let me select standard millimeter. Sometimes I do that just to be sure that it's the correct one. So now we can include parameters as well also. If you wanted a specific parameter for the width or the height that you wanted to change, you just click. We'll take these three, OK, and then click OK. And then we have that multi-body part now took through to an assembly as individual parts. So as the same, we can select a drawer, open, we have the individual drawer here. The same as make part, it won't bring through the features that you created it with. You have to go back again. One other thing actually, in the make part you can also go to parameters and select the parameters as I did for the make component. So if we went to extrusion, this is just to show an example, and we went on here, then we go plus 182.5, okay, finish that sketch. Now you can see we've made space for another drawer. If we go to multi-body test, you can see here this is local update. So this is to update our assembly to match our part that we've just changed the carcass size on. So if we update, we can now see there is space for the drawer, which there is also here. So now if we went to our rectangular pattern, edited, and from 8 we did 9, updated, we'll save it, to be safe. Go through to here. Oh, but this won't, because we've created a new solid, it will not bring that through, if that makes sense, because we've created a solid that the assembly hasn't got. That's where you could then go back and then use make part and then select draw 2 parameters, just to show we can bring parameters in. So this is draw 2. It must be already saved as draw 2. Then if we also name the assembly draw 2, okay, now we have an individual drawer we've created. We'll save this. Okay. Now we can place this into the multibody. If we go to find the draw 2, we have it as a part or as an assembly, but I saved it as the assembly to show you can take parts out. We can put it in as an assembly, place, and then we can constrain, which we can go into constraining parts, later date. This is just to show. Okay, I've actually done that wrong because I should have offset, as you can see. We needed to constrain it to this edge. And there we go. So that's multi-body. If you change a dimension, it will change that part, but it's impossible for it to add, as I showed in that pattern, an extra part because the assembly doesn't have that. Any other changes? Width, like if I change the width in these drawer fronts, it can change. And that's the basics of multi-body. It's useful for referencing, as we wanted the drawers to be a specific size based on this carcass. It's easier to reference in multi-body. I'll use it quite often for that reason. You can dimension off of, as we created the plane and then we projected the bottom profile that we needed from the shell, so then we can base the drawer on that. That's what it's good for, because if you model it in individual parts, sometimes it can be out a little bit, or it can be a little bit confusing. And you can have as many solids as you like, as many solids as your computer can handle, really, because sometimes if you do too many, it can get a little bit laggy and it can play up a little bit. But yeah, that's multi-body. Thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and any feedback or videos you'd like to see, just let me know. Thank you.